Right. Go ahead to get my brother on. Praise be to Allah. How you doing, Brother Mark?
I'm doing fine, beloved. How about yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm fine by Allah's grace and mercy. I'd like to thank all of you brothers for coming on the show to present your mindset on what we can do to help benefit this next generation. This topic of discussion will be on the 9 ministries and what they can do to further help benefit our youth and the next generation coming up in our community. And what I want to do is give a short, or not give, but show a short clip of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and him giving context behind the operations about what it takes to acquire these 9 ministries and make them successful. And so I'm going to show that here now. So everybody, please just sit back and watch this short clip of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
On that offer, and I'm asking all of our doctors, when we go back home, let us form a ministry of health and human service that we can use to serve the needs of the black, the brown, the red, and the poor of this nation. We need a ministry of agriculture. The black farmers are suffering. We need to unite our black farmers, make their land productive, and tie that land to the needs of the city. A ministry of agriculture. The Native Americans have the largest tracts of land, and they are willing, according to what I learned from Brother Bob Brown of the All African People's Revolutionary Party, they are willing to lease millions of acres if we are ready to go to work. To do what? As long as we keep our mouth in the kitchen of our enemy, we will never have good health. We must provide food for ourselves because the merchants of death are feeding the American people, and they are tied to the pharmaceutical companies. They create disease on one hand through the improper raising of food and livestock, and then they make pills on the other hand to correct what they've created.
Sir, all praises are due to Allah for that form of guidance that we have in our midst. And just to start that off, what we are going to be doing is explaining through our own personal experiences and acquiring of knowledge about how we feel each and every aspect of the 9 ministries can benefit this youth and the next generation, and how we can apply what it means to make that successful. And so I'd like to start out with what number one, I would actually like to start out with each and every brother introducing themselves, their age, and their region, if willing and possible. Can we please start with Brother Aidan X?
Assalamu alaikum. I just want to thank you for having me on the platform. But my name is Brother Aidan X, and I am in the Western region. I'm 19 years young.
Right. Yes, sir. Thank you for that. Can we have our brother Mark Muhammad, if you could please unmute yourself and just explain to the people how old you are, what region you come from.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, dear family. I come out of the central region. I'm 30 years old. And want to give you thanks for inviting me, extending the invitation on this subject as well, beloved.
Yes, sir. Thank you for inviting this invitation, dear brother. And Brother Jair Muhammad, can you please give that brief description of yourself, dear brother?
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum, family. My name is Brother Jair Muhammad, as Brother Mark said, from the Central Region headquarters. And I also want to extend gratitude and thanks to you, Brother Anthony, for thinking, enough of your little brother to invite me on this powerful discussion. All praise due to Allah. Brother Mark, you look beautiful for 30. I mean, how need to live? It does wonders for sure.
Come on now.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. You know, this is the platform where we are open to bear witness and to chime in. Throw your hand up if you have anything to say. If we want to veggie back off of the thought of another brother, we want to be open enough to do that. And we want to start out this conversation with coming through the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan about agriculture and some of the steps that it would take to acquire what it means to establish that and the benefits that happen once you establish that. Is there any brother right now who would like to say how that may benefit this next generation?
Real quick, brother, could you just repeat that? You kind of, I broke up.
Yes, sir. So how is establishing the Ministry of Agriculture to be beneficial for the next generation? How is that a benefit to this next generation? Yes, sir. Brother Jair.
Well, first and foremost, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I remember I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan once say, he said that the farmers are going to be ones driving the Lamborghinis. Because in order for a nation to be independent, you have to feed the inhabitants of that community.
That's right.
So the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan saying that we're the Joshua generation and we're the future. Well, the future is now. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we have to do for self or suffer the consequences.
Come on.
And I believe that we've learned that in full effect since COVID hit, where people are losing their jobs because the enemy can just easily get rid of them.
Yes, sir.
And so in regards to the agriculture, I mean, it's very important because you have to feed the inhabitants of your community. And that starts with growing your own food, the science of foods, because a majority of the food that we're eating, they're chemically made, right? They're added in things that are doing more harm than good. A lot of these foods now, they look pretty, but they don't have any nutritional value as far as coming straight from the earth. And as far as us growing our own food, we know what's going in the earth. We know what we're pulling out of it. We're not using any pesticides. We're not using anything added to it except that which Allah gave us to use to grow our own food. So I think that's very important, especially for doing.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for that answer. Is there any other brother that would like to veggie back off of that thought? Brother Aidan X, praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I want to go by what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. He said the root is always the land. Everything that we see around us, we can look around the room, we can look at what we put in our bodies. It comes from the land.
That's right.
And then the minister said, it don't matter if you're a doctor, it don't matter if you're a lawyer, it doesn't matter if you're a preacher, a basketball player, a football player, a rapper, we all got to eat.
That's right.
And you know, I have a 9-month-old baby. I love to use this analogy.
Praise be to Allah.
And we feed him, you know, when we need his sippy cup, we give him his sippy cup. When he need his baby food, when he need the breast, he gets it. And the enemy has us like babies. I like to liken it to babies because we don't control what we put into our bodies. And if we say every time we're looking at the black man, we're looking at God, then how come we can't pull from the earth, which God created, and get what we need out of it so we can nourish ourselves so that way we can grow into knowledge? Because there's no use of growing into knowledge if we're going to die from starvation, die from dehydration. If we can't build our houses, that comes from the earth. You know, the ring that we propose with comes from the earth. So for the next generation, you know, if the white man right now stopped selling us any industry, we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. And we saw during COVID, the long lines. We saw how everybody was, you know, panicking over the food. So we have to be smarter. We can't be like previous generations, you know, if we call ourselves the people with the life-giving teachings, then we have to open up agriculture. We need to go to the land and we need to start owning land and we need to start farming.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. Is anybody else that would like to chime in? Brother Mark, praise be to Allah. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, you know, I heard the minister once say before that that farming is the engine of nation building. So of course, if you can't produce your own food, you obviously can't survive, and you're not qualified to be a nation or an established nation. So in How to Eat to Live, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that we dig our own graveyards with our own mouth. And that's a combination of the number of times we eat and also what we eat to speed up our death date. So when we begin to fertilize our own land, get the soil just right, turning the soil at the proper time during the proper years, then eventually planting the right seeds during the right time with the right agenda attached to that, we will produce our own foods for ourselves that can heal, that can heal our sicknesses and diseases that we may have. Therefore, we won't have to go through insurance claims, pay an enormous amount of monies for simple medicines that we could really get for free if we learn how to cultivate our own land.
Yes, sir.
That's the true, well, one of the true benefits of learning agriculture and applying it as well. So this is one of the most important ministries to be involved with as a servitude under God or your family or your nation.
That's right, man. Beautiful answers, dear brother. And you know, we have a good outline through the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad on how to do these things, and with the guidance of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, it's made easy to be able to achieve. And as he was saying, you know, just by us acquiring land, pulling our resources together, and even him presenting to us the opportunity to be able to work on other people's land and inviting and leasing it to where we can produce our own things and we could benefit one another. And that is, you know, the reason for this 7th Region Coalition, to reach out to every direction of this globe and see what resources we can pull for each of these ministries to help establish a strong, never bending, never folding industry within these 9 ministries. And I would like to go on to the Ministry of Education, which we all know is just very important. And I would like to pose the question of what kind of actions are needed to lead this next generation toward a better future educationally. And I'd like to just start it off by just saying, you know, the knowledge of self produces love of self. And that's really the start of any motion within a person, is realizing who they are and giving them context about what God made them in this world. So a comprehensive knowledge of self will bring a world to where we reflect God, because we are made in the image and likeness of God. Is there anybody that will just like to give a point on what kind of education are needed to give this next generation?
I mean, you got it, Brother Aidan. You
sure? Okay. I just wanted to add that the first thing we got to look at is civilization comes from the minds of men. If we don't have the right mindset, then we won't have the right civilization. So the education that we must give our people is definitely not the devil's education, because we see what it has produced. You can tell the fruit by the tree it bears. So we need a different type of education.
Fruit it bears, dear brother, praise be
to yes, sir. Oh, you know what I mean. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Of course. Praise be to Allah. Yes,
but we need an education for our youth that will give them a knowledge of self, that won't teach them to be niggas and won't teach them to work for somebody else and get nothing in return.
Come on.
Not an education that won't teach them to own anything. Not an education that won't teach them who they are and what they can achieve. So like you said, knowledge of self produces love of self. So the education that our people need is clearly a knowledge of self.
Yes, sir. Praise.
And I think also coupled with that is understanding our history.
That's right.
Not only understanding our history, but our origin on this planet. Because many of the devil's education has sought and caused us to believe that we're nothing, caused us to believe that we're inferior because the color of our skin, right? And so God has to be reintroduced into the school system and understanding how we are direct descendants from the creator of the heavens and the earth. See, many of us, we think we just niggas, we're just slaves, we're this or we're that, but we don't understand our origin on this planet and the power that we have. So coupled with the knowledge of self, coupled with the knowledge of God, you have high civilization. So not only do you implement that into the school system, but also self-discipline, self-respect, respecting and protecting the Black woman. There are so many things that needs to be added within the education system that is not in it right now.
That's right.
Who doesn't want us to become a civilized people. They don't want us to become an independent people. They want us to be dependent, or they want us to become perpetual slaves, meaning that we're slaves for them our entire lives, for eternity. But the Savior, Master Father Muhammad, came to break all of that up. So I believe that all we have to do is take the blueprint that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given to us with Muhammad University, with the curriculum that is set in place that will make us an independent people, not just having knowledge, but having wisdom, knowing how to apply that knowledge which we've been given.
Go ahead.
So it's a bunch of things that is needed. It's not just one thing, but it's a culmination of things, because there's so many things that have been left out. But most importantly is the knowledge of self and the knowledge of God. And I believe that those two are one and the same.
Yes, sir. That's right. Praise be to Allah. Beautifully put. Brother Mark, you got something you'd like to expound on?
Yes, sir. Just briefly.
Yes.
Also went with, of course, I agree with what both the brothers have said.
Yes.
Just in addition to that, with education is meant to, once it comes into you, it's meant to eventually come out of you. That's right. And we can see what type of improper education that people have been through based on how they act on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis, depending on when they want to let themselves go. So in order to properly and truly educate and help save our own brothers and sisters, just like Brother Jair said, you have to most definitely give them the knowledge of self.
That's
and right. You have to tie that in with history, because today now we got to prove everything with images and numbers and math and stuff like that. This is why we got our actual facts. And to prove everything with time, with math, with science, with history, and also with scriptures to verify that information as well. So that shows the importance of education and where we can go with it, and how it can also be detrimental to us, which we have seen, and also on the flip side where we have seen it could be very beneficial to us for those who took education very serious and applied it and used it and benefited as well.
That's right. That's right. Praise be to Allah. Thank you all for those answers. And as we know, our people, they suffer financially. They suffer with finding their purpose and developing into the skills that allow them to be successful within that purpose. So just my thoughts on it is really knowledge of self, and then followed by financial literacy, and then followed by career training. You know, we need to develop our own career training centers to where our people, we're not just offering them a lifestyle, we're bringing them into a tangible place where they can learn and develop a physical reality to take themselves out of the detrimental lifestyle that they were in before. And, you know, just speaking on that, does anybody have any thoughts on what we can tangibly do? How do we, or what do we need to establish to get our people on the line of educating them and giving them a better education? What are one of those things we need to establish? Brother Jair.
You said one of those things to give a better education?
Right, or to establish it. You know, it's easy to, you know, we can discuss what we need to give them, but what do we need to do with our physical hands and feet to be able to establish? Yes, sir.
Like these different ministries as far as agriculture, right? Mm-hmm. We have to, like the ministry, he always talks about how we have to use things physically. Like we can talk nation building all we want, but what are we doing to physically bring a manifestation of the kingdom of God? Like it's a process that is necessary. So if you're bringing somebody, let's say if we're going out and we're soldiering the final call, right? And a brother has on a bummy suit on, he has a dirty collar, his bow tie's hanging sideways. That's not attractive, because you're going to somebody who's quote unquote may sell drugs, right? And they're making all of this money. He's saying, you want me to put down my drugs? You want me to stop doing what I'm doing? I'm making all this money, and look at you. So like the minister said, he said opposites, or the messenger self talked about how opposites attract. So we don't have to condemn them. We just have to put a clean glass next to a dirty glass, and the dirty glass will begin to reflect the clean glass. So I believe that we have to bring them into a nation that we're actually building. We have to have trade schools, right? We have to have plumbers. We got to have architects. We have to have all of these different things. We have to bring them into a business that's better than the life that they're currently living. So even agriculture, like Brother Ben X and Brother Farrakhan, what they're doing Hereafter Farms, they have land, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of acres which can be used, which producing land to
That's
produce
right.
what? Agriculture. So we're not just talking, but we want to actually teach our brothers and our sisters how to grow food for themselves. Because even if they don't have a lot of land, you can teach them. They can go to their own backyard and they can plant their own seeds. They can grow their own vegetables, and then they can sustain their family until they have enough financial gain to either buy their land or couple with somebody else, because the two or more are gathered lies present. So if we pull in our resources together and we buy our own land, then we can do much more than just doing it alone. So I believe that actually having those physically tangible things working towards the end goal that we see, which is ultimately the kingdom of God, because the messenger said that the hereafter for his followers is now.
That's
he
right.
said, I don't want you to think that there's a hereafter where you're not going to have to work, because you're going to have to work to bring about the manifestation of the vision that you have in your mind. So
that's
yes,
right.
Sir.
Man, beautiful breakdown, dear brother. And just one simple thing, if we want a better education for our youth, then we have to create our own schools. Is that right? And we just did a beautiful interview with my father, Dr. Anthony Muhammad, and he gave insight on what it means to be in the educational world, and even gave context on the process and what you need to do, the mindset you need to have to create your own school. So if anybody is interested in that after this broadcast, please go and check that one out. As we move on, well, number one, is there anything you brothers got anything else?
We'll go ahead, brother.
Sir.
You can go on, brother Mark.
Oh, thank you. Man, I just wanted to add on. When it comes to, I think you said physically with your hands and feet, yes, how to establish one of these ministries. One thing about it is that first things first, it's not that difficult. I'm gonna just say that. That's right. It's not that difficult at all. In order to establish anything, you have to become what you're thinking about doing. So you would have to, as the individual, you would first have to establish yourself. Mm-hmm. Can this person trust you? Can they believe in you?
That's right.
Can they have faith in you? Because they're literally giving up something in order to achieve what you may have to offer them.
Come on now.
Absolutely.
Just like the minister said in his lecture, what was the Crips versus, I forgot what it was. Mesh to the Gangs. That's what it was. Mesh to the Gangs in Newark, New Jersey. He sat there and said that, yeah, you can tell them to put the guns down, but what else are you going to give them in exchange?
Come on now.
These brothers got children.
That's right.
Yeah. They got, and I'm going to add this part on, they got mortgages and rents and lights and gas and all these other things that cost money.
That's right.
So if you're telling someone to give up one lifestyle for another, best believe what you're offering has to be something tangible, worth exchanging with.
That's right.
So with that being said, that first things first, the individual would have to strengthen their own self, their own mind, prove it to themselves that it works. Mm-hmm. Then once that is established, then you can go and get a building and grow the ministry or the business or whatever it is that you went into, and bring other people on board. You got to first gain the trust of the people. Well, second, actually gain the trust of the people in order for this to really actually work.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. Y'all gave a universal breakdown of that right there. So
beautiful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so what I would like to,
Brother Aidan had a
yes, sir. Brother Aidan, please share.
Oh, yes, sir. What the brothers shared, man, it's hard to come after that. I agree with everything the brother's saying, obviously. But I just want to add another thing we can also do is we can also create content. We can also take over the digital realm because a lot of our youth, they're learning from rappers, they're learning from their favorite YouTubers, they're learning from what they see on television. And also with building the physicals, because we want to build the physical, we can also build the digital, because we may have a school in Las Vegas, but it's going to get the people in Las Vegas. We may have a school in Georgia or Chicago or Texas, but it's going to get those people in the area. So while we're also building the physical, we should also build the digital, because we can impact people all over the world. When we have brothers, they can, instead of looking up to brothers with the women on the side, they can look up to the brothers that's living righteously and also living abundantly, like Brother Mark said, having something to offer. We want to be like the rappers. We want to be like the so-called, gang members, because they live in a certain lifestyle that we want.
That's
you
right.
know, we don't want to work at Taco Bell and make $8 an hour.
That's
you
right.
know, and that's not righteous. You know, righteous doesn't mean poor. We can also live abundantly. So
That's
also making examples online and on technology as Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, you know, in the metaverse that's coming up. I think it's important to also have education indirectly through entertainment, and you know, being public figures can also be education.
Yes,
Man,
sir.
that was a beautiful addition, Brother Aidan.
Beautiful addition. Yes, sir. Yeah, that digital world is very important. And let's mention our brother Ben X, who has put out a whole program on how to operate within the digital world and put money in your pocket by influencing positive things. So, you know, we have to use the technology and science around us, and just to bring in the next topic or ministry. It is the ministry of information. And, you know, I would like to pose the question, what can a system of information do to help our communities? And if you brothers have anything on your minds and heart, the floor is open for you.
That's a great question.
Sir. I can start it off with just to help with our us flow with it. In saying that data is the first step to proper correction. And if you have the information behind what you need to correct, you're able to move with confidence and move in a direction that you know this is step by step in which we can accomplish this goal. So, Brother Mark, you had something on your mind there, brother?
Oh, yes, sir. Just, you know, as the minister said, that today we're living in the time of information.
That's right.
Information is very easy to access. At one point in time, we had to go get a library card, apply for that, go through the books.
That's
right. You know, go through 5, 6, 7 books to find, you know, 2 pages worth of information to go bring back to the family and, you know, everybody else. Now everything is at a click of a button. Information is so vital and so important that they have it encrypted now, to the point where you have to have different logins, go to 2 or 3 different security phases just to get to one page.
That's right.
You know, it's so important that they have a whole entire bureau in America, the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, established just for collecting information and data on other countries, other nations, and so forth, and even on us.
That's right.
The thing is, with the information that's out and that's available, what we can use now, since we're able to legally read and write and so forth, we can use the information now that's available to benefit ourselves and our nation, ourselves and our family. So we won't be tricked in, you know, with policies in different languages, legalese and things like that. So we can actually make some real progress as an individual, family, and eventually a nation as well.
Praise be to Allah. Does anybody else have something on their heart and their mind that they would like to share on this particular ministry?
Yes,
go ahead, Brother Aidan.
I just briefly, we can just look at the type of information that we got is misinformation. And what has misinformation got us?
Good.
You know, in order to understand why we need information, we got to look at, you know, where we have gotten with misinformation. We haven't been building for self with misinformation. We haven't been doing for self, and we haven't had self-dignity, self-love, or self-knowledge with the type of information that we have been getting.
That's right.
I like to use my own example. You know, in school, I was an all F student. You know, that information wasn't working for me. I would take 4-hour naps in school. You know, first period, second period, third period, and fourth period. You know, because what I was getting wasn't rejuvenating me.
That's
right. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't getting me hyped. It wasn't getting me to love myself. So, in order for us to be able to change and transform others, we have to give them an information that recharges them, which makes them love themselves first and foremost, because you're not getting anywhere unless you love yourself, and you can't love others without loving yourself. So with information, like I said earlier, we can also get that through technology.
That's right.
Because I like to tell the brothers, you know, I'm probably the youngest one here. I didn't get fished in through a final call. I didn't get fished in through one of the FOI talking to me on the street. I got fished in through YouTube, through seeing the FOI, through seeing the lectures, through seeing Brother Ben X on YouTube and Instagram spaces. So we can really get information through. You see how big the Nation of Islam itself is. If all of us did our space and we created content, you know, that would push the information out, like Brother Riza is doing, like Brother Ben is doing, like countless others are doing with the information through TikTok, you know.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, my dad, he learned how to be a handyman through YouTube. We can learn how to be a God through YouTube, as long as we make the spaces and we make the content in order to put out this information.
Yes, sir. That's right, man. Praise be to Allah. Yeah, you know, acquiring information, especially when pertaining to building a nation, will literally, it'll show you what parts of that nation or structure that you have to strengthen, and what is already successful and can be utilized to be put out to the rest of the world through collaborative forces and things of that nature. So it gives you a good view on where to step next. Brother Jair, did you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, Brother Mark, Brother Aidan, they did a wonderful job breaking down majority of it. I don't really have anything too much to add as far as the information aspect, but I believe that it's important to have our own researchers, because we need to pull what is actual facts, because what the enemy has done is they have added truth mixed with falsehood. And so being able to research and go down to the root of whatever it is that we're trying to learn is so important, because we can trust in ourselves, because we want the best for our people. So we can do the research and find the purest truth in it, take it and give it to our people. And so what Brother Aidan said, as far as the digital realm, is so beautiful, because a lot of our young people, and this is a talk catered around the youth and the next generation, a lot of our young people aren't walking down the street, okay, I'm gonna buy a final call and I'm gonna sit at home and I'm gonna read it. A lot of young people aren't like that. So they're learning things through Facebook, through Instagram, through Twitter, through TikTok, because that's the modern times. And it says in the Supreme Wisdom, you have to speak the language of the people, otherwise you won't be successful. And so right now, the language of the people is technology. And so we have to get this information to our people through means of technology. But it has to be the pure truth. And the enemy, again, he's mixing truth with falsehood, because the enemy is not just going to flat out lie, because it's completely unbelievable. So he's taking the truth and then he's coupling it with falsehood. So you're like, okay, well, it does make sense. I mean, that could be the truth, because that's how Satan is, because he's deceived the whole world. So information is so important, and the purest of information, not truth mixed with falsehood, but pure truth.
Yes, sir. Beautiful answers, dear brothers. And just thinking about that, man, anybody, and this thought just came to me, for anybody who is watching this and interested in really fired up about what it means to build a nation, what I'd like for you to do, if you have any of these acquired skills through these ministries, I'm gonna put this banner at the bottom so that you may contact us and we can strive to collaborate and build a nation for ourselves in which we can be successful and independent. If you have anything that you can benefit toward or give toward any of these ministries as a benefit, please do not hesitate to reach out so that we may start to physically build this world that is in our minds, that we know is of benefit to the next generation. And to move on to this next ministry, we are going into the ministry of health. And how important is this ministry? It is more important than we can fathom, because it really ties into everything that we do in this world. If our health is not intact, then we cannot move and even do the things that our mind has summed up for us to do. We can't even move on those actions if we aren't in good health. So I'd like to pose the question, in what ways can a ministry of health be used to support this next generation physically, mentally, and emotionally?
I mean, you can, you know, saying health is wealth.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, how much wisdom, how much understanding.
That's
if
right.
you're dropping dead at 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, that's no time. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that you don't know how to properly live until you're 75. So if all of that time you're acquiring all of this knowledge, if you don't have a healthy body, a healthy mind, you can't be an addition or a benefit to the future generations if you don't live long enough to be able to deposit that knowledge and that wisdom into that next generation.
That's
so
right.
Health also comes with the very first one that we talked about, agriculture, right? That's the physical health that you're dealing with, the food, you're dealing with the vitamins, the nutrients, all of the things that can benefit your body. Like brother said, we come from the earth. So being able to know the science of how to go into the earth, extract what you need, because you won't need medicine. You won't need the Savior came and took all of the medicine inside of the believers' medicine cabinets and threw it all away, because of the proper use of food will be able to heal all of our illnesses and all of our diseases. So that's the physical aspect as far as health. But you also have to have a healthy mind. What are you feeding your mind? Another reason why Satan has put social media out there, because all you see is filth, all you see is iniquity. So all of our young people that are looking on social media, all you see is half naked women. All you see is our rappers talking about drugs, talking about women, right? Talking about all of the things that are negative. But what the enemy has done is he's deceived us so well that we're falling in love with iniquity. So, but the messenger said, like, our brains are made to think rightly, but we're right by nature, wrong by circumstance. So we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So that's the condition of the people now. So now our minds are no longer healthy, but our minds have been tainted and our minds have become filthy. So I was talking to a brother in the barbershop today, and he was like, man, the minister, man, how old is he? And I was telling him, I said, man, he's 88 years young. I said, it's how to eat to live, but it's also what is he feeding his mind? Because the mind is a correlation of how you appear. Because if you're feeding on filth, your appearance on the outside is going to reflect who you are on the inside. So again, what foods are you eating? What knowledge are you taking into your mind? What are you feeding on daily? Are you feeding on the word of God, or are you feeding on filth and indecency? And that's going to reflect how you look. So in order to help the next generation, it all has to come from how you're taking care of yourself physically, but also mentally.
That's right. That's right. Yes, sir. Anybody else? Yes, sir, brother Aidan.
Yes, sir. We just got to look at the base word of health is to heal. And the mission of the righteous is to raise the dead. And for those that don't understand raising the dead, look at our people. Are we dead mentally? Are we dead morally? Are we dead economically? You know, and we're dying physically. So in order to sustain our people, we got to be healed mentally. One of the leading causes of death for a lot of young males is suicide. And next to that, you know, with violence. So we need, in order to stop the violence, as the minister said, we got to heal the mind of those afflicting the violence. And that starts with knowledge of self. And what is, we keep saying knowledge of self, but what is knowledge of self? It's knowledge of God, knowledge of who you are. I saw a video on Instagram, you know, the brother was teaching, and when we look at each other as brothers instead of niggas. I can't, it don't sound the same for me to kill my brother versus saying I'm gonna kill a nigga.
That's
right. It don't sound the same for me to say I'm gonna steal my sister's man instead of I'm gonna steal this B's man. You know what I'm saying? Right. So once we're healed mentally, then we can move as men and women instead of niggas and B's. We can move with dignity. We can move with self-confidence. We can, you see the brothers in the nation, you know, they walk different. They're glowing. They're glowing not only physically, but they're glowing mentally. And that starts with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you got to link, and I'm just paraphrasing, you got to link the mental food with the physical food, because the mind is in the body.
That's right.
So as you see with all the ministries, they're all connected. You got to get the land. In order for the land, that's how you get the education. And with the education, you have the information. And then, you know, now you have the health. So health is important because, as I said, the base word is heal. And the mission is to raise the dead. So we're involved in health every day when we're with the final call. When we're making content that's uplifting our people, we're investing in health. Because health is not just what you put in your body, it's also what you put in your mind.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. Wonderful breakdown, dear brother. Brother Mark, you got anything to add to this, brother?
Yeah, man, brother, it's hard, man.
Hey. When you hitting all the corners, man, it's all right though. You know,
it's hard, man.
We say all praise is due to Allah, because you know that means we just interconnected, and what you was thinking, the brothers already expressed. And if I could maybe even help you with a thought, I want to go into saying that you know, we must teach our people what to eat, which goes behind the information that we give them. We have to give our people a mental heading. So if your mind was in indecency and filth before, we got to give you something physical to do, because that's a physical action that you have to be taken away from. And what you were depositing into your mind, now we must replace that with something beneficial for you, because we know that the music today is only to tear us down, as these industries give these rappers millions of dollars to talk about the detriment of the Black community. And so going into that, so that was the what we can do to help this youth through health. But now getting into the how, and I'd like to start it off by saying that we should establish these workforces where we're training up nutritionalists to be able to create centers to where we can give the vitals of people, understand the current health situation of every human being, get their vitals and understand what foods that they need to eat to bring themselves back up to their rightful body structure. And to add to that, what I put here, we must unite and build some mental hospitals. We must unite and build some physical hospitals, hospitals that pertain to your physical nature. And you know, we must build our own health facilities, and that's just a overall thing that we can actually do to be able to accomplish this. So does any other brother have any other thought that came to them while hearing some of these tangible solutions that we can start working toward?
Man, you pretty much gave it.
You gave the other answer.
Yes, sir. And so as a result of implementing good health, right, we can see a decrease in the violence and crime, because treating the mental health of our people will allow them to come out of that lifestyle, because it's only a mental problem that's happening within our community through the food and the information that we're getting that allows us to hate one another. And as Brother Aidan said, once I start to see and redirect my mind to see you as my brother, it's a lot easier and a lot harder for me to kill my brother or disrespect my brother than it is to kill a nigga in this world. So just going off of that, before we move on to the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, is there any other thoughts?
Man, a thought just came to me. The minister was saying during the Swan song, you know, he said we're dead people, and he said the only thing that's different is that we're breathing, we're talking, we're walking, but we're dead. And that's why I can shoot this brother or shoot this quote unquote nigga, because I'm dead mentally. So I don't necessarily know who I'm looking at. The messenger said, whenever I'm looking at a Black man, I'm looking at God. But if I'm dead mentally, if I'm dead spiritually, if I'm dead emotionally, I've become a beast in human form. So like you said, the healing of the body, the healing of the mind, all of that comes full circle, because this is a complete resurrection. This is not something that's, okay, I'm just going to put this brother in a suit because you can be a nigga in a suit. I'm not going to just put this sister in a garment because you could just be a X, Y, and Z in a garment. You know what I'm saying? So it has to come full circle. And I believe that the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is, in fact, the antidote to the disease of the heart and the mind that our people are afflicted with. And Satan has done a great job of corrupting so many of our people. But God came and he gave us the antidote, but we just have to take it, because knowledge, you can have all of the knowledge in the world and it won't do anything for you. But it's only when you have the wisdom to apply that knowledge will you then begin to see a change in your life. So what you said, Brother Anthony, having these different centers, bringing these people in and teaching them how to do for self, how to not depend on the enemy, but how to depend on our own people and pull our resources together to unite, to bring about the change that we want to see in our community. But we have to first start with ourselves, because we can't put this on somebody else and we ourselves are not reflecting the change that we want to see in our communities.
Come on. Praise be to Allah. Wonderful breakdowns, dear brother. And we go into such an important ministry here in trade and commerce. And we all know how beneficial that can be, but let's from our own personal views and standpoint, how can we better the future of this next generation through trade and commerce? Is there any brother that would like to expound on that?
I'll go ahead.
Yes,
one thing, of course, like we all said, all of these ministries go hand in hand with each other. The first thing is just to inform the individuals of how important trade and commerce is.
That's right.
People have been trading for millions and millions of years, but the difference between certain people, they traded for the right reasons. They traded goods, horses, cattle, things like that. It got to the point people were trading people.
Come on now.
Come on. And that's how we got here. Man. So trading commerce can be used for great things and also evil things as well. Yes. However, it will last a lot longer for you if you trade goods, because goods is a universal items and things that we all need to survive.
Yes, sir.
But nowadays, once you get past that point, you got trucks, stocks, crypto, real estate. All that is different forms of trading. Mm-hmm. And once you explain that the true benefit of getting involved with those different industries, you will now have the attention of these people, and you will be able to establish different forms of relationships and actually have another purpose of really living. Also, I want to take it a step further. I was listening to Kanye West one time on Drink Champs, and he said that relationships are like currencies, because you may not have, or you may have funds or may not have funds, but you can go into certain places, and based off the relationship you have with that person, they'll tell you, yo, you good up in here.
That's right.
You ain't got to spend no monies.
That's right.
You can go to a whole different country and do the same thing.
That's
just
right.
Like they did the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Come on.
Went to a new country for the first time. They took care of everything for him because they wanted to establish a relationship.
Go ahead.
You see, they wanted to trade a good time with that person in order to have a relationship, a long-term relationship in another country, another part of the land, because they seen the value that he had and the value that was being established here in America. And they wanted to be a part of that, and we wanted, what we got out of that as well.
Yes.
So trading and commerce is highly important. It's in the Holy Quran. It's being done today. But once that is explained and also given points and explained properly, giving points and value, the value of it as well, you will most certainly gain that person as a personal follower or personal friend of yours.
Man, that was a beautiful breakdown there, brother. And I got to veggie back off of one of your points when you talk about the detriment of trade and commerce, or the evils and the positives of trade and commerce. What we can do with this youth is those illegal drugs that they have learned to sell without any marketing behind it. You can't market the drugs you sell in these streets. Mm-hmm. They are already making a living off of that. Imagine if we place something in their hands of that is legal, that is a service to every person in their community. Man, they will be so successful in what they do. And that's why the Ministry of Information and Trade and Commerce is just so important, to be able to give that information to the youth and tell them, you don't got to look behind your back to see if the police is there no more. You don't have to look to see if the brother that y'all been having a feuds with for a few years is trailing you and trying to see what you got going on. You turn your life over, and we can try, with the help of God, to give the guidance that is necessary to this youth looking to come out of the street life. Let's put some legal products in their hands, because they already have the skills to make that business successful. And off of that thought, is there any other brothers that would like to add to this subject? Yes, sir. Brother Aidan.
Yes, sir. Just looking at trade and commerce, saying from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan popped in my mind, and he said, business is the activity of life.
That's right.
Living people do business. breathing, alive people do business. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan also said, and I'm paraphrasing, he said, you're 9 to 5 for the enemy, but you haven't done nothing for yourself.
Man,
every day we're doing trade and commerce. We're trading our time for $12 an hour, $8 an hour. Right. We do it on the weekends. We trade in commerce. We trade our time at the strip club, you know, to get a good time. Yes, we trade our time with, you know what I'm saying, our best friend's girl. You know, we trading our time with them to do iniquity. So how about we do trade and commerce for our own? Since we call ourselves a nation of Islam, we got to do as other nations do. If we have over $1 trillion in spending power, how about we trade our resources? Hey, we got a brother here. You know, we have engineers in the Black community. We have doctors in the Black community. We have entertainers in sports. How about we at least do trade and commerce in the entertainment and sports and control that? And we can use that to fund our schools. We can use that to fund other industries and produce for ourselves. You know, we don't even got toilet paper, you know, for our own people. But, you know, for the next generation, we got to be able to produce the needs of our people in case of pandemics. If we say it's the fall of America, then we better get into business for doing for ourselves.
Yes, sir. That was a beautiful breakdown there, brother. Beautiful right there. Is there any other brothers that would like to expound on this topic?
I guess I'll add at this point, we don't believe in a spook God. And so in order to fund, in order to run a nation, it is absolutely necessary to have an economic backing. So if we want to have these schools, if we want to buy this land, if we want to sustain our nation, we're going to have the financial prowess in order to have that nation be sustained. And so trades and commerce are so important. So there are many believers who have these absolutely wonderful businesses. And though we have wonderful businesses, and it is your business, whether you put the Nation of Islam name on it, it is still a part of the Nation of Islam because you are a believer. And so being able to pull our resources and uniting and coming together, we'll be able to grow our nation exponentially. Like you said, if we have over $1 trillion in our community, imagine what we can do if we unite, if we trade with one another for the overall development of our people and the overall development of our communities. Will be so much further ahead. So trade and commerce is absolutely important because, like Brother Mark said, in order to build relationships that'll last a lifetime, to where if I ever need anything from you, you know that I'm trustworthy and that I know that you're trustworthy. So if I ever need anybody to depend on, somebody to lean on, I know that I can go for you for that backing. And so it's wonderful. It's wonderful. Even Muammar Gaddafi, his relationship with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That's a relationship that was a lifelong relationship because of the integrity of both of those two men. So trade and commerce is absolutely important, especially for a nation. In order to sustain itself, you have to be involved in business because, Brother Aidan, you said that the minister said that business is the what of life?
Activity.
Business is the activity of life. The minister is not using any useless words. Like every word that he says matters. So we gotta be involved in business if we are alive, and I believe that the followers of the Nation of Islam and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad are alive. But we gotta be involved in that.
Man, absolutely. That was beautiful. Because before coming on this call, dealing with trade and commerce, I never even considered the mental aspects of trade and commerce, brothers. That's such a beautiful point that y'all are making, and to help Veggie back off of. I believe what Brother Aidan was saying, where it comes to trading our time to benefit others other than the people in our community, we definitely need to, for this trade and commerce, take our people that work for Amazon, take these people that work for FedEx, and take the skills that they have acquired, buy some trucks of our own, and replace their job with the enemy's world and put it as a benefit to their community so that they can, the work that they see or that they do, they can see going into the benefit of their own community.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, sir. Of course.
I know that Brother Aidan, a lot of his answers were based off of the digital world. Like he would add that as an addition. And I believe that trade and commerce is also trading valuable information. So even through social media, like he was talking about agriculture and as far as the different businesses, how you can teach and train individuals what they could be all the way across the world, but you're able to reach them through social media based upon the knowledge that you have. So if I know agriculture and Brother Aidan has information, or he knows arts and culture. There's some type of information that he has that I need. I can teach him something, and he can also teach me something. And I can take what he gives to me, and I can give it back to my nation. So going through the digital realm and being more modern, trade and commerce can be done online. Trading information, trading goods and services, having an e-commerce site, having a website, selling products, right? Because these are things that are also helping sustain our nation. So that's just a thought that came to my mind. How can we, as the next generation, use and come up to the modern times in order to act more efficient? It doesn't matter what we're selling. People sell food online. People sell clothing products. People sell hair products. People sell skin products. Like, there's so many things that you can sell online that can be used to further the cause of our nation and our people. And it's all out of good. Like, it's not coming because I'm trying to take money from you. Of course, I need money to sustain myself, but I know that I want the best for my people. So I'm going to strive to provide the very best product. So online is a beautiful way to get that across, and especially information, which, again, information is so important.
Yes, sir. Beautiful breakdown, dear brother. I'd just like to add, well, not even add, let's pose the question at this time, what we must do to help establish that operation. But like we said, using our hands and feet, what must we do to usher in a better world of trading and commerce for our people?
I mean, I believe that we're doing it to a certain extent in regards to the believers having their own businesses. I know that Brother Yaya, you all may not know, he has a Sean Michelle's homemade ice cream, and his ice cream is absolutely wonderful. And his ice cream is like put like all across the city. Like, all the people in Chicago basically know about Brother Yaya's ice cream. And one of the things that we're doing as far as a nation is we're making our businesses job centers, so that the people that are coming from the streets, they have somewhere to work, but it's founded and ran by Muslims. And so also these jobs that we are running, they're also we can fish the lost founds in, using the lost founds that are coming to work for us to kind of put Islam in their ear, dropping seeds on them, the way of life that they're around. Again, like the minister said, we carry our own atmosphere. So anybody working in these environments, they're becoming Muslims, whether they like it or not. Because if you hang around 9 drug dealers, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be the 10th. If you hang around 9 striving to be righteous Muslims, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be the 10th. So I believe that being Brother Yaya, is he's making these job centers. So now the people that are in these job centers, especially in particular Sean Michelle's ice cream, you're learning how to run a business. You're learning how to be a manager. You're learning how to run the store. You're learning how to deal with customer service. So now you're taking these skills and these talents that you're learning from working under someone that is a Muslim, that is striving to submit his will to do the will of Allah. So now you're taking what you're learning and you're applying it in your own field, because my field may not be ice cream, but I can take what I've learned from Brother Yaya and use it in my own field to help my nation. So I believe that we're doing it with the different believers that have their own businesses, but not being stingy and actually teaching those that are coming in how to run their own business. Because again, it's not us being selfish, because we all want to be victorious.
That's right. Yes, sir. And just to add to that process in which you beautifully broken down, dear brother, I just like to add, we must unite as a people to build our own manufacturing facilities, and we must have our own distribution centers as well. And in turn, it creates the opportunity to trade at a in mass production. It allows us to allow other companies, even from other countries, to be able to bring products to us, and we'll have a distribution center so that we can properly sell and deliver these products to our people. And just in doing that, is there anybody that would like to add something to that process of how we can establish this trade and commerce?
I'd like to add one.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people don't know this. This goes back to the Ministry of Information. Typically, in almost every single city or state, they have to give 20% of the contracts with the city to the minorities. So if you establish that, well, that's how it is here in Louisville. A lot of people don't know that, but you can take advantage of that. So what the Caucasian would do, he'll go put a business put the business in like his daughter's name, and inside that field, his daughter be 6 years old. She's considered a minority because she's the only 6-year-old in that field.
Wow.
So they'll get another contract
Wow.
to that. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Wow.
There's a brother here who he was in the cleaning business. And he said some years ago, a white man called him and asked him to, like, he was going to pay him if he can use his minority status to get a contract through him. And they'll split the profit.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
2000 and I think maybe like 16, another white male approached my sister and said the same exact thing. But this one, he played her. You know what I'm saying? So she went and quit her job and all that stuff. And, he played her. He didn't give her nothing. She had a job for whatever, for however long it was. But eventually she bounced back because, we got her back and stuff like that. But that just shows that with that amount of information, with that just piece of information and also learning the know-how and how to go through it, you can achieve contracts for a distribution center, like you said. Then on top of that, other people that you may know personally who is involved with trucking and trading and things like that. Yes. So that right there is heavy information. Now I know each city's different, so you have to go through those loops and try to figure out how to do it, fill out those forms and whatnot. But that's one way to generate immediate revenue.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. Thank you for that beautiful answer, dear brother. We actually got somebody in the comment section that asked, should we only target our people with our businesses, or do we look to do business with other races and people of that sort? Of course, we absolutely need to look at all aspects of interest, because every race and every walk of life is a consumer. There is a consumer in every part of the world. There is something in their house. They went outside and spent their money on something. And why not we be independent enough to create those products so that we can be as a service to the world? Because that's the root of a ministry, is service to the community. And so if we are not giving service on the most broad spectrum, then we're just losing out on money out of being stubborn and not taking the example of the rest of the world and creating products for everybody here on earth.
Can I add to that as well?
Yes, sir.
We gotta get out of the mindset of accidentally falling into Black supremacy.
Come on now.
where you think that all of the Aboriginal people of our planet are our family.
That's right.
Period. So our Mexican family, our Asian family, like all of these, our Indian family, these are all Aboriginal people of our planet. So whether we're giving them jobs, like we're not, okay, well, if you're not Black and you don't look like me, then you ain't working for us.
Come on.
That's not our teaching.
That's
and the
right.
most honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching is a universal message for all people.
Come on.
You can even have the conversation, which we won't have right now because it's a conversation. But the reason why Master Father Muhammad had a Black father and a white mother, in order to give justice to both sides. Yes. So we're striving to give justice to all people, no matter what your class, your creed, or your color.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. And that's my brother Bernard that asked that question. And what's crazy, we so in sync that my last thought that I had wrote down for this subject was we must branch out to all walks of life and create relationships with all walks of life. So that was beautiful right there. I'm glad you posed the question, dear brother. I want to thank everybody who is sticking in and watching this when you can be doing anything else in this world to indulge your mind in. And I want to encourage you to please hit that share button and take 2 taps of the button to share that. And please like and comment. Feel free just to join in on the discussion. As we move in to the Ministry of Defense, right? How important is it for us to give the next generation knowledge of how to defend themselves? Man, that's a deep one. I actually have
I would say
go ahead, dear brother.
No, because as the host, I know you normally have someone you want to start it off with. So if you want to, you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. So, you know, the first thing that came to mind, right, was obviously physical and legal defense. Those were the first two things that came to my mind. And the second one was how Black Wall Street, after all that they had done to build something for themselves, how we failed to set up defenses to protect what we build. And there is no reason in building a whole nation that you are unable to protect. And is there any brother Jair, if you would like to add to that, or any other brother that has a thought on their mind?
We're at war.
That's
period. You can't sugarcoat it. We are at war, and the enemy's world is going down. And the minister said when he spoke, it was the second Ramadan prayer line. It was the youth prayer line that he did, and he was saying that we're rising, and he said that a rising force destroys a falling force. So the enemy is going to try to take down as many of us as we can. That's why he's killed so many of our Black leaders who's doing so much to produce progress for the Black community. And we in the Nation of Islam, like the minister said during the Swan song, he said the Nation of Islam is on the opposite side of the U.S. government. And like you ever heard the saying that you don't judge a man by his friends, you judge the power of a man by his enemies. And the minister in particular has some of the biggest enemies this world has ever seen, Satan himself. And if we're with the minister, then those are our same enemies. And the type of change in the lives of Black people that we are producing, Satan is biting his fingernails because of what we're doing in the progress that we're producing. So Satan is going to attack us with everything he has, especially when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan departs. So defense is so critical, because in order to have a nation be sustained, and we're a sovereign nation, we have our own flag. We're a nation within a nation, and a nation has what? A military to defend the inhabitants of that nation. Because if you don't have a military, then any outside force can attack that which you say is yours. So we have so much value that we have to defend. And there are people who are not happy for us. And they're not happy for what we're doing. So not even just the Nation of Islam, but Black people in general. Because another thing that the Ministry of Defense is tasked with is making sure that our communities are safe. The Black communities, policing our own communities, protecting our Black women, right? Making sure that they have a safe environment to live. Defense is such a broad spectrum, because you can have the agriculture, you can have the schools, but if you don't have the military prowess to defend them, then they're up for grabs for anybody. So we're military. Like the minister said, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you're a teacher, if you're a chemist, it doesn't matter what you are, you're a soldier, period. We're soldiers in the army of Allah, and we're going to defend that which Allah has come to set up. Because America is coming down, and the flag of Islam that Master Prophet Muhammad set up will never fall. So if his flag is going to flag eternally, there is opposition that's going to try to take that flag down. So we have to be strong in holding the fort down by the grace of Allah. And we will be successful, because we are fighting for Islam. And what?
We will surely win.
Come on, man. Come on, man. What our Savior Allah.
Come on.
Universal King. Come on, man.
That's right. Praise be to Allah. We thank you, Brother Jair, and your journey through this ministry of spiritual development that you have embarked in within your life, brother. Yes, sir. I pray that Allah guides you through that, and you become as He sees you to be, which is all of us to be reflections of Him. And as I look at some of my notes I have here, right, are people that deal with the police but don't know how to compose themselves or how to operate in the eyes of police. So I feel as if we should even have a law enforcement strategy team, to where you're teaching our youth not to be able to go out and get emotional when you're being disturbed by law enforcement, but to actually stay composed and save your own life, because you know how many people have died just off overreacting to the police. And if we had come on now, and if we had a training center to where we can teach our youth the penal codes to say the rightful law to to deliver to the police in certain situations, we could save a lot of lives in that aspect as well. And is there any other brother that'd like to touch on this defense ministry? Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother Aidan.
Like our brother said earlier, you know, we don't believe in no spook God. So we must defend, protect what we own and what we have. It wouldn't make sense to build agriculture. It wouldn't make sense to build schools and education if we don't defend what we have. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, just specifically on the women, to protect and elevate the Black women. And we're not men, and we're not men of God, because the Holy Quran says, fight with those that fight with you.
Come on.
So we're not men of God, nor are we men if we don't learn how to defend for our own and defend what we build. And just going off of the police, like you just said, just to benefit the youth, we need to build our own police. We need to build our own police departments. We need to patrol our own neighborhoods, as the minister said.
That's right.
So we can stop the vicious beast in our neighborhood coming in and putting their knee on our big, strong, Black, intelligent brothers that we have. So we can stop the beast from killing our young brothers for having a toy gun and looking suspicious. So we can stop the police from dragging and slamming our beautiful Black women. It's essential that we defend what we have, or anything that we build is not going to last, because the devil and that little serpent in the garden is going to come, and we're going to be defenseless every time.
Come on,
man. We're gonna, but at a certain point, though, we're gonna have to start making examples of these devils that think that they can just come into our communities and do whatever they feel as though they want to do. Absolutely not. And that it fills me up with anger when I see what these demons are doing to our brothers and sisters, but more importantly, our sisters. Like you said, dragging our sisters by the hair through the grass, on the ground, through the concrete, and our Black men not standing up to protect our women. The messenger said the sister shouldn't go out past dark unless you're with your father, your brother, or a man that is willing to give his life for you. So for us as Black men to be able to fight to the death for you, death meaning that either I'm gonna die or he gonna die. One of us gonna die. But that type of mindset has to be instilled in our youth to be able to protect our communities, because security is a mindset. So if we're not focused on what it is that we need to do to defend our communities, we will not be successful. And so many of our brothers, I mean, we're living a savage life, and so many of us don't know how to rise above emotions to the thinking of God, because what the enemy wants us to do, they want to say certain things to trigger you, because they want you to act a certain way just so they can kill you. And the minister, he was saying to the brothers, he said, when the enemy comes for me, he said, you're gonna have to be calm. He said, you can't do nothing. He said, because if you act, he said, that'll give the enemy an excuse to kill every single one of us.
That's right.
So mastery of self is so important. And in mastery of self comes defense, comes security. But we have to grow a love for self. Because if you don't have a love for self, then you cannot have a love for your people, and you will not be willing to give your life based out of that love. Minister Ishmael always says, he said, love will make you do crazy stuff. A mother who loves her child is able to move a car if need be.
That's right.
So we have to reestablish that love for each other, because in our love for each other, the enemy will feel that, and he'll be fearful to even come near us with that type of aggression, because he knows that what the messenger said. He said the believers, once you get them turned on, he said you will send a veracity up the spine of the government. Because of the believer. You know, we're peaceful people, but if you see the other side of us, then it's an ugly sight, as it should be.
That's right. As it should be. Sir. Man, that was beautiful, dear brothers. And just thinking about how our love for one another is a part of our defense.
It is.
You know? Man, that was absolutely beautiful. And just to expound, right? Because I think Brother Aidan is the one that brought up policing our communities. And I believe that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has a book on policing our communities, if I am correct. And I wish I had the title on the forefront of my mind. Does anybody know exactly what that book is titled?
No, sir.
Okay, so I think,
but I believe I heard of it. I heard of the book before.
Yes, sir. Like how to police your own community or something of that nature. So What I would try to do is get that and present it to you all at a later time. As we actually move on, if nobody has any extra thoughts, onto the ministry of justice. And let's just speak on the purposes and goals of building our own judicial system and how this can benefit our communities.
Well, I'll go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Of course, you know, with having our own judicial system, we will most definitely be in full control to give our own people the correct justice, the proper justice. But it's not just man's law, it's God's law that be enforced.
That's right.
Whenever you enforce the proper law for the people, you will soon turn everything, all the crimes, all the drug addicts overnight. You'll turn that away overnight. There was I think it was a government official in China, probably about 70 years ago. He stated that, you know, with all of the people who was on drugs and things like that, that you had 24 hours to get out of town or get off the drugs, or they would drop a bomb on wherever you was, you know, that community.
Wow.
That he was referring to. So you already know within 24 hours they shut it down.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Right? Man.
So that's just what happened. That just shows the seriousness of justice in your own judicial system. And if you look at China today, their crime rate is very low. Their drug usage is very low. Their obesity is very low. Their, rape and disrespect and stuff like that is very low compared to the other worlds.
That's right.
The other parts of the world. And over here, if you look at the reverse of that, you will see crime rate is very high. Obesity is very high. Why? Because we're going off man's law versus God's law. So, of course, you're going to get the opposite results.
That's right. Yes, sir, dear
man.
brother. Yes, God. Yes.
A beautiful example of going by God's law is you can look at the holy city of Mecca, where the Savior came from, and how there, my father, he was blessed to go to Mecca with the minister. And he was telling me, he was saying that the stores, he said they don't have locks, they don't have doors, they just have a little net sheet that blocks off the store and their merchandise. And there's a little case where all of their money is housed. Like the thought of theft is not even in the minds of those that are striving to be righteous. Right. And it gets to the point where if somebody tries to steal and they catch you, they're going to cut off one of your hands. If you do it again, guess what? They're going to cut off another one of your hands.
That's right.
So if the people see you walking around with two nubs, they're like, okay, we see what he tried to do.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
The importance of a law being put in place, it also protects the inhabitants, because if everybody's abiding by that law, then everybody's on the same accord. Everybody knows the laws of the land, and if somebody is not submitting to those laws, either has to be removed or has to be disciplined.
Come on.
So the judicial law is so important, and that's a part of having a government. It's a part of having a governing body that governs the nation.
That's right.
And that is done by enforcing and upholding the law. Upholding the law is so important, because oftentimes we may be a little slack here or a little slack there, and that's why division comes, and that's where Satan can use to creep in amongst the nation whenever there's looseness or slackness within the enforcement of the law.
That's
because
right.
The restrictive law is our success, meaning that if we're not following the restrictive laws of Islam to the T, the chances of our success is not as high as it would be if we abided by those laws and enforced the laws to the fullest extent. And I believe that if we did enforce those laws to the fullest extent, then we will be successful, because that's what we're promised. And the Savior is not a liar. The messenger is not a liar, and the minister is not a liar. So we do ourselves a disservice when we don't follow the law.
Yes, sir, dear brother. Yes, sir. Go ahead, brother Aidan.
Yes, sir. What popped into my head is what the restrictive law is our success. The minister, correct me if I'm wrong, also say where there is law, there is love. So it goes to love with the law. It goes to love with justice. And the minister also broke down democracy versus theocracy. And you look at the base word of democracy is demon. You know, it's a government ran by a demon, and it certainly is. Versus theocracy, which is ran by God. So like the brother said, not just man's law, but God's law for our people. And we see the justice system that we currently live in. I think the stats was that Black people are incarcerated at 5 times more than the rate of whites. And that we are the first incarcerated. We're the first, you know, justifying that 13th Amendment to be slaves under this wicked system.
Yes,
so with the law, we can also rehabilitate our people because it won't be unjust laws. It won't say we're 3/5 of a man or 4/5, whatever they said. We're not a man, you know, we're slaves, we niggas. It'll be a law that's actually established by God, and it won't be an unjust law because God is not unjust.
That's right. Yes, sir. Man, that made me actually think about, right? Why our next generation needs legal representation. Because sometimes they get pulled into these police departments, given a false narrative about what they believe happened, just so that they can give a charge to a young brother that doesn't have the knowledge of the law and could have just been walking down the street and got profiled for being a young Black male in America. And so I think that we need to have a team of legal representatives that for any of these situations happen to where we are being arrested unlawfully, that we have representation that is able to come and prove the laws that justify a Black man simply walking down the street, you know?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. And then really about giving updates to our rights. We should have a facility. We should have a team of people paying attention to the changed laws in America to update us on the rights that we exercise every day that can change and that we may be able to get arrested for. It'd be so beneficial instead of looking at the cop and being like, I had no idea that was implemented. No, we should always have an idea of the system around us and what can lead us to a position where we're behind bars over something that we did not do. Yes, sir.
Man, brother, that goes beautiful. I remember Brother Aidan said earlier, he said how all of the 9 ministries are intertwined. They all complement one another. When what you just said is the importance of the ministry of information, the ministry of research, being able to go in, find these updated laws and be able to give it to our people, yes, through the final call, but also through social media. So even if a person cannot get to that person that is a legal representative, they have the intellectual know-how in order to be able to defend themselves because they've been given the knowledge from either Brother Aidan or Brother Mark or Brother Anthony or Brother Jair. Man, I saw him on social media. He was telling me that if I ever get into this situation, this is how to handle it. This is how to get a lawyer, right? So because most of our people don't have that. And this enemy's institutions are so wicked that they are made and designed for the Black man and woman to be put down. Because they want to destroy us as a people because that's how much hate they have for us. I remember the messenger, when the minister was telling us that he was riding with the messenger one day, and the messenger asked him, he said, brother, have you ever met a white man? He said, have you ever met a person that has no good in them at all? The minister was thinking, oh, man, I ain't never met a person that ain't got no good in them at all. And he said that there was a white man walking across the street with a cane. He said, there you go. He said the white man in his nature was made with no good in him at all. And he said that if a Caucasian does do something quote unquote good, it is only for his gain. It's not for you because he loves you or cares for you. It's because of himself. So this institution, we can't expect justice from a people who don't want to be just to us. They've never been just to us. So we can't be foolish enough to fall again. That's why the minister said we're not taking their vaccines because of their treacherous history. Their treacherous history does not just deal with slavery, but all that they have done to us as a people because we've been in slavery for a long time. People think that it ended in quote unquote 1914. Absolutely not. We're still in slavery to this day. But they just allow you to play basketball. They allow you to work at these different places, but you're still attached to the Caucasian. That's why we have to separate and do for self. And these 9 ministries are going to help us become an independent people.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So if there is no brother that would like to add, if you do, just throw your hand up. But to help lead us into the ministry of art and culture, and we are actually coming upon are the last 3 ministries. In art and culture, I just want to pose the question, how can we create a better way for this next generation to enter the world of art and culture? What can we do to assure that they have a successful life in that field?
Mm-hmm. I mean, arts and culture is such a beautiful ministry because we're a beautiful people. And I mean, our roots go so deep, and we have so many different branches and so many different cultures, because culture is language, culture is dance, culture is poetry, culture is visual arts, culture is music. And it just shows you the beautiful talents that Almighty God Allah has put within each and every human being. And it is these arts and these cultures that bring about each one of our own personalities. So arts and culture, I believe, is so very important, because the more and more you learn about your culture, you learn about where you come from, you learn about your origin, you learn about what your ancestors went through, and now you understand. Okay, now you feel attached to them, because a lot of our young people, we are so detached from our ancestors, we're so detached from our history that we like, okay, I don't care about them because I don't know them. I'm not attached to them in any way, shape, or form. That's what they think. But arts and culture will be able to reattach us back to our roots.
That's right.
And black is beautiful, man. I mean, we got soul. I mean, it's just in us. But we've been so detached from that. And I believe that the arts, or the ministry of arts and culture, will begin to reattach us to that which we've been taken away from, which is our roots.
That's right. Yes, sir. Brother Aidan, you had your hand up there, brother.
Yes, sir. I just want to add on that beautiful point. Like I said earlier, just creating the digital spaces for our young people to get the arts and culture that they need. We see, you know, Netflix. We Netflix and chill, and a lot of the stuff that we watch.
Beautiful example.
It's not giving us, you know, the edutainment, as I like to say, the education, the entertainment that we need. You know, we see a lot of our people, you know, look at the movies that we have for films, for art and culture in our community. We have Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood. You know, of course, this is a reality for a lot of our people, but for young Ray to see himself in the mirror as only a gangbanger or a prison, you know, a prison felon is not something that we can look up to, you know, because looking up, me personally, as a young person, growing up, I could only look up to myself as a basketball player. That's why I wanted to be a basketball player, because I saw Kyrie Irving, I saw LeBron James.
That's right.
You know, I'm listening to Kanye West, Jay-Z, and when Black intelligence is presented to us in arts and culture, it's presented as corny. You see, you know, you see Blackish. We got to live in a white community. We got to talk white. We got to move white. So arts and culture is important, because we can show our young people that you're not corny just because you read and study. Right. You actually being a man. You're actually being a woman when you fulfill your duty. Being righteous and submitting to Allah is not corny, because I seen it in the film. I seen it in my brother Jair's film, you know, on his own platform. I saw the young brother. He had the young brother in the film, and he had a bow tie on, and he was, you know, and he was still cool. So now I see myself. Now I can image myself as that. I can act like that brother, you know?
Yes.
Even though the Malcolm X movie, we see it and we see how much falsehoods in it. We, you know, a lot of young brothers still see Malcolm and they could see themselves in the film, you know? Me coming up, you know, still seeing the Malcolm X movie, I saw myself as, you know, I don't have to be corny. You know, I don't have to be this. It's because of the film. It's because of the arts and culture. It's through the music. So what we need to do is we need to utilize these spaces and stop saying Instagram is negative, YouTube is negative, and we need to make it what we can, and so we can get our people and eventually make our own platforms and bring the lost found on there.
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, brother Mark, I was about to ask praise. Be to Allah. Go ahead, dear brother.
No, I just wanted to just throw in there that when it comes to arts and culture, or music and culture, you know, that is the most influential, I guess we can just say, enjoyment or establishment throughout the whole entire world.
Yes, sir.
If you want to get someone to do something, you get someone who's involved with music to say it, to put it in the song, to dance to it, and you can sway 7 billion people within 3 minutes.
That's right.
That's how powerful and influential.
That's right.
You can change a whole entire culture.
Come on, teach it.
A whole continent of people with arts and music and similar things in both categories.
That's right.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that one song is more powerful than 1,000 of his lectures. And of course, when he said powerful, he meant influential.
That's right.
Because when you study the law of leaderships, the 21 laws of leadership, the first law is influence. And if you have influence, you can accomplish anything you want, anything that you're thinking about. That's what it said in that documentary. So I wanted to give a shout out to our sister Beyonce and our brother Jay-Z for the series that they dropped called "Becoming a Black is King."
That's right.
Which was I don't know if it was an hour and a half or 2 hours long, but it was just showing us, trying to get us back on the track with our own culture.
That's right.
Through music,
that's right,
entertainment and dance and love and the rituals and things like that, to free our minds from this European culture that got us so twisted up, twisted and knotted up.
Yes, sir.
You know, I heard the minister say one time that it's only, excuse me, not the minister, our local minister told me once that only in Europe, in America, and maybe South America are the only cultures in the world where you can freely just walk up to women and start talking to them. That just shows the difference on. But then you have to ask, how did it get like that?
Come on now. Yeah.
You have to ask that question. How did it get like that? You know. So of course, some of it was enforced, but when supposed freedom came and free will came, now you have to do it in a more scientific way. So what they do, they grabbed, not Run DMC, they went and got Snoop Dogg, DMX,
come on,
the later side of Tupac, you know, Ice Cube and all them, and they put the music out there and it made it more acceptable. So the culture was changed.
That's right.
From one state to a more negative state. That just shows the influence, the amount of influence that it has. However, whenever you have the right man with the right thought and the right amount of influence, he could also reverse that. It may take a little bit longer because you're going up against Satan.
That's right.
And he has what you have times 10, maybe even times 100. But if we all come together and form that atomic bomb, form that unity that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, we can outdo Satan's world and also outdo those atomic bombs that he supposedly threatened us with in the music industry.
Yes, sir. Man, beautiful.
Brother Mark, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Did the minister say 1,000 of his lectures or 1,000 sermons?
I think he said 1,000 of his sermons.
Okay. I didn't know he specified his sermons. I thought it was just sermons. I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah. He was talking about himself. He was talking to the artist was I think it was Young Thug and 2 Chainz.
Okay.
Like
yes,
in 2016 when he went down to Atlanta.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. We know as students of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, we strive to be right and exact and still sharp and still, and we are growing to be some sharp tools amongst our nation by the grace and mercy of Almighty God. And so I want to actually expound on that and say that within establishing, like we mentioned before, what it takes to use our hands and our feet to accomplish these things. And I like to sort of jump it off by saying that for this music industry, we need to be the ones with the record labels signing our these artists so that they don't have to sell their souls in this world for $1. And so we can control the narrative And just off of what brother Mark was saying, it's like our representation, our the culture, our art and culture is at the forefront of our representation. Whatever we are putting out to the world through our art and culture is how we, number one, how we will perceive ourselves, and how we perceive ourselves will manifest to where how others see us as well. So arts and culture is literally one of the most important things that shapes the life of every single community by the depiction through movies, in music. So picking up on what we can do with our hands and our feet, we have music, film, dance, drama, literature, poetry, visual arts, and sports. So what are some things beyond creating this record labels that allow our youth to express themselves in a righteous way? What other things pertaining to those fields of art and culture can we do to establish a new representation of art and culture? Sir. And I mean, oh yes, sir, brother Aidan, go ahead, dear brother.
I think it's one thing that the minister said, and I'm just paraphrasing. He said, we're not going to get righteous overnight, but if we just put little messages, a little bit of a message into our music, we could really get the youth. And I was talking to my brother-in-law. He said the first time he knows about Malcolm X because he heard a song. He heard one of the rappers mention him in a song, and it made him go down the spiral. One way I actually came into the nation was I was on Sister Beyonce's page, and she showed a video of Malcolm X teaching, and it made me go on the spiral of going into the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and then the minister. So we see like the brother said, 1,000, one rap song is worth 1,000 sermons. So just with that, we can really control it with just getting with some of the, instead of condemning our rappers, instead of condemning our sisters who's rapping and maybe throwing it back right now, we can educate our people with the Ministry of Information, as we were just speaking about, and giving our people the tools, because really, they're really talking like that just to sell albums. They're really talking like that.
That's
just
right.
Because that's what's in the industry, and that's what Satan is telling them will sell.
Come on.
But once we control the record companies, once we control the music, the movie industry, and create our own righteous Hollywood, then we can begin to create our own trends. We can begin to create our own criteria, and we can shift it from nasty filth, throwing it back, doing the twerkulator, to maybe making young men, young women who can do something with themselves, and also have that entertainment in there. In our films, we can still have the brothers, because it's a reality. We can still have our brothers that's in the gang and stuff, but we can have the guidance and the message in there. Shout out to brother Ben X, who's, he's creating a paradigm, like they said, the paradigm shifters, because they're switching the image that Black men have, utilized. And that's, again, utilizing the platforms, utilizing the digital platforms, because you never know. A brother may be watching this right now, and they see, 4 young brothers speaking with knowledge, and they may see themselves into it. It's really just creating mirrors, reflections, like we always say, I'm just a reflection of you, brother. And that's all the arts and culture is just creating reflections and creating love, because that's what art and culture is creating love. So let's create some real love music, utilizing the knowledge and love for self.
Yes, sir. Dear brothers, man, that was a beautiful breakdown from each and every one of you. And another thing I have that we can help to do, that we will have to work to do, right? And I like that term you use, righteous Hollywood, right? We should all combine our resources to build a film studio to where all of our youth can come and present their ideas, and they don't have to compromise, right? They won't have to compromise with a storyline that, how the Satan always puts a little bit of deviation. Yeah, we released this movie, but let's put a little bit of homosexuality in there. Let's put a little bit of this in there and a little bit of that in there, and we'll be able to fund your movie wholeheartedly. And so if we create these things like a Tyler Perry, or even with sports, when we talk about basketball and our brother Ice Cube, that has shown the initiative that we can take players that have been rejected from the NBA, create a whole nother kind of league, and create an interest through a 3-on-3 basketball game. And I actually watch the Big Three, and it is a very interesting thing to see how somebody can take an idea that we have attached ourselves to in this world and make it an independent, how could I say this, an independent system for people looking to play a sport or to express themselves through art and culture. Is there any extra thoughts we want to put on this?
Man, I think it's important to understand why the Bible says that money is the root of all evil. It's not that it's necessarily money, but it's the lust for money.
Come on now.
And in our lust for money, we become whores.
That's right.
He said you're a whore committing a whoredom. So you're compromising yourself, you're compromising your integrity, and you're selling your soul for $1. And that's why majority of our men and majority of our women that are in the rap community, they're pushing out filth, because that's what the enemy is saying. A majority of us never ask, you know, I want to be famous. I want to have a house. I want to have a car. I want to have all of these women around me. But the men said, you never want to say, I want to be right. And that's the thing. And we're destroying our moral compass. The more and more we seek money, the more and more we seek fame, because you're seeking money and fame in Satan's world. And Satan's world is falling down. So I think another aspect of that is destroying the lust for money.
Man,
but actually using our platforms and using our influence to uplift the level of intelligence and uplift the community. Because if you're speaking in your music, if you're speaking upliftment, if you're speaking love, if you're speaking joy, if you're speaking peace in your music, then you'll have a brother walking down the street listening to your music. So now he's listening to your song, but he'll see his brother. He may not look at him like, man, I'll rob him, but like, man, and that's my brother, man, I love that dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different type of thing, because if you're constantly listening to something over and over and over again, repetition is the mother of study. So instead of listening to the radio that Satan is putting out there, listen to Final Call Radio, where you're feeding on the word of God all the time. So I think the biggest thing is changing the love on the lust for money to the love for the upliftment of your people. And I think that's a complete paradigm shift.
That was so beautifully put. You see, I'm personally somebody that's into the solutions of things. And since we've been talking about the solutions, but what you did was just hit the root problem behind why we submit to a filthy version of art and culture, which is the lust for money. And then it ties back into another one of these other industries, to where how do we suppress that? We create opportunities and jobs for our people, so where as soon as they come out of that womb, they see that this community is something that they can be a part of, enter into, and it be a benefit to their lives. So that was amazing how you went into the root of how to stop that, because we could be working on all of these facilities, but as long as we don't have employment for our people, the proper compensation of pay, if they happen to hit hard times, then our people will always revert back to that lust for money, because they are put in a position by the circumstance that they are living in. So, man, you
know what's crazy? It's the condition our people are in, man.
That's
and Satan sees the condition, and they give you a little money, they give you $1 million, right? They give you some jewelry, they give you some nice cars, because you're coming from nothing. Instead of like, if you just call a sister out her name, if you have sisters in your music video that are half naked, if you just do this, if you compromise your integrity just a little bit, I'll give you this beautiful life. And so now they're like, man, if I just keep doing this, I can keep getting more money, I can keep getting more jewelry, I can keep getting more women if I continue to sell my soul, even though they don't even recognize what Satan is doing to them, because all of this stuff has become fair seeming. Satan has caused sin, iniquity, evil, and wickedness. He's caused all of this to become fair seeming. So now it's the order of the day. So everybody just selling their souls left and right. So now nobody has no integrity. Nobody has any moral compass, because Satan has deceived the whole world. Like, that is a real thing. And he's taken where we lack, and he's like, okay, I can feed on that. And that's why temptation, we have to master our lower desires, because Satan will pull on our temptation and cause us to deviate. Oh, this brother's in love with money. Or this brother has a lust for money. Or this brother has a little drug problem. And he'll pull on these little things that you're weak at, and it will cause that weakness, and he'll be able to slip in right through and cause you to compromise your whole striving to be righteous. So now you become an agent of Satan. The minister said, what did he say? He said, you become, I got it. He said, you become, let's say, an accomplice, right? You become an accomplice of Satan when you pick up a joint. He said this in the last Ramadan call. He said, you become a accomplice of Satan when you pick up a joint, when you put poison inside of the reefer to give to your people. He said, you become an agent of Satan.
Come on.
And I believe that also comes from the desire and the love for money. And Satan is using our lust and desire for money to inflict pain, hurt, and suffering on our people. And we just got to come out of that.
Yes, sir. And well, beautifully put there, brother. So we are actually, I actually want to thank anybody who has made it up to this point in this broadcast. Just the fact that you are willing to sit, watch, and support your young brothers and see what we have on our mind to be able to give to you that will benefit us and you as well. I want to thank you for sticking in there as we move on to our last ministry. If any other brother doesn't have an extra thought on art and culture, we're going to move on to science and technology. And I sort of wrote down a statement to help usher in us explaining the benefits of this industry here. And I wrote that science gives us a comprehensive understanding on how to operate everything in life. And then it goes on to continue that technology creates an easier outlet to execute whatever you have your hands in. And so is there any brother that would like to expound on this? Because this industry actually ties in and can be applied to every ministry that we mentioned before this. Yes, sir. Any brothers who would like to expound on the science and technology? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Just you know, with the science, the word science, all that is just learning the know-how and the know. So, as you can see, you know, the minister saved the best for last, because that last one ties into the previous 8 ministries. I think on the NOI website, he referenced that specifically this ministry is tied into the one with information.
That's right.
To help out with the technology and the advancement of technology, and also to help out with the understanding of the progress for the nation that's utilizing that technology and information as well.
That's right.
As far as with individuals, if you look at other nations, they use these different technologies greatly. If you look at the armies, they got drones in the sky. They got satellites in the in space that look down, that can zero down on people, you know, 100 million miles away or however far it is. That just shows the advancement of technology and science. Also, that creates a defense for you as well, if you want to tap into the Ministry of Defense. You know, things like that as well. But this is actually one of my favorite ministries, but that's just I just like the technology side of it.
Yes,
because that's the true advancement. And plus, we all use technology every single day.
That's right.
You know, I'm over here, Apple product up over here.
Same.
Come on. Come on now.
you know. But one thing, and I close with this. One thing I heard the minister say. He said that you know, yes, the white man may be the devil. However, he came and he advanced the whole civilization of this world.
That's right.
With technology and in science.
That's right.
So just like Brother Aidan said that, yeah, there may not be no good in him, but if he does good, it's for the good and joy of himself.
That's right.
So
yes, sir.
The same, and I want to close on this. If these ones can do it at their level,
yes,
just think what will happen when we do it on our level.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, brother Jair.
Man, just what you say, veggie back?
Yes, sir, veggie
I know
back.
that people say piggyback, and I was
Yes,
laughing
sir.
when you said it the first time, veggie back. Just a veggie back off of what Brother Mark was saying. It made me think about a story when the minister said, and as far as coming up to the modern times, how he was in the East, he was having dinner with a king or whatnot, and the minister's like, can I have a fork or whatnot? And he was like, if you want the blessings of Allah, you have to eat with
Come
your hands.
on.
And he was just like, oh, I would like a fork. And he's like, you don't want the blessings of Allah? And he was teaching on how they focus on the little things.
Come on.
And the minister said, well, the prophet rode on a camel. I saw you ride up in a Mercedes Benz.
Come on.
So as far as upgrading and coming up to the modern time, we're not riding camels anymore. We're riding in Lamborghinis and Mercedes and
that's right,
hoverboards and whatnot.
That's
and so it's important as far as to technologically advance as a nation. It's so many aspects as far as agriculture, the different machinery and the different things that are used to advance and make the process that much easier. So instead of having to till the land yourself, picking up each and every root or each and every weed, now you have a machine that you just drive over and it picks up all of the weeds. So it's all about technologically advancing yourself as a nation to make every aspect of your nation more efficient. The defense, like you said, having drones to be able to go around the property, go around the perimeter, so you don't have to walk on your feet all the way around the property. You have a drone that has night vision, you know what I'm saying, where you can see if somebody's hiding in the bush, if you can see if somebody's hiding behind a corner, you know what I'm saying, you never know. But as far as technology is beautiful. I can speak to a brother all the way across the world on this device right here. I can just call him up. Whereas back in time, I would have to write a letter. It would take weeks or whatnot to get to him. But the white man makes no excuse for his failure. So we have to study the white man, because like the messenger said, he doesn't make any excuse for his failure. So we have to continue to advance as a people, continue to advance as a nation, but in this aspect technologically, so we can make our affairs more efficient, and take less time to get across what we want. Technology, social media, getting across the message, Final Call Radio, NOI.org. Now we can reach people from all around the world and give them the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whereas back in the day, you would have to have a CD or a VCR or whatever player it was back in the day in order to get the message. So it's definitely important. Otherwise, we'll be left behind and we'll be left in the past where everybody else is in the future.
Come on. That's right. Praise be to Allah. It's also interesting, right? I would say that as a people, how we need to unite to acquire technological resources, like the materials it takes to develop technology. And a good example of how much money is required when we look at these videos of these Africans building their own planes, building their own personal cars in their backyard. And this is a pure reality of many situations where Africans have created whole search engines aside from Google, just within the little amount of resources that they had. They use science to make their technology easier to manifest. So they both work in the two with each other, because if you don't have the proper science, then you'll make it hard on yourself to build that. But when you know the dynamics and the what would they call it, the architecture behind how to build a car, then you may be able to put something together that not necessarily reflects what the world would see as something successful, but as long as it moves and operates, we can say that they are successful in what they do with the little that they do have. So that's one of the things that we can use right there. They are a great example of having little and doing much with it.
And if we want to take it a step further, the Savior putting together the will.
That's right.
Now we're talking about being technologically advanced. There is nothing on the planet that is likened unto the mother will. But that's a whole nother conversation.
That's
that took him acquiring information. That's him acquiring resources. That's right. Him going into the earth and pulling up the material that would best suit for his purpose, which was the will, which is the world's strongest metal that was found where? In the earth, where? In Japan.
Come on now.
So if we're talking about being technologically advanced, we got a lot of catching up to do. But the Savior, he's thinking ahead, and I think we focus too much on living in the present when we should be looking into the future, because the science is history 25,000 years in advance. So why don't we start practicing doing a couple of days in advance, a week in advance, a month in advance, a year in advance, to the point where we're making it to where we're saying be, and it is, because we're putting things in place to bring about the vision that we have in our mind and manifesting it in the flesh. But Master Father Muhammad has outdid everybody in history, including the Caucasian today, with the wonders of the will and the baby planes. There's nothing like it. And there never will be anything like it again.
That's right. Man, that was a beautiful breakdown, dear brother. And another thing that we can actually do to watch this come into fruition in our world is just creating schooling for engineering, architecture, agriculture, health, for chemical science, electrical science, and aeronautics. You know, we need to be able to be in the sky as well, if we plan to travel far distances in shortened time. And so we're gonna need some schools to be able to do that. And what type, of sciences and technologies can we use to benefit our communities? Does anybody got something on their mind? Yes, sir, Brother Aidan.
I know with one thing that I don't know if it was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the minister that said this, but there's 3 sciences that they said the enemy won't teach us, and that's finance, mating, and warfare. So, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to study the science of everything.
That's right.
And if you look back to history, and history was all research, we were the one that taught the Caucasian science. We're the one that taught him. We are the creators of time. We're the creators of, we circumnavigated the earth before, when just recently the white man thought that the earth was flat, and he still comes back with that knowledge. So if we go back in history and see that the black man is a natural builder, a black man is a natural thinker by nature. That's what we are. We naturally get into, like you said, the brothers in Africa building stuff in their backyard. If we can build stuff like that with stuff that's in our backyard, just imagine if we pool our resources, we get into that agriculture. We get into that information, we get into that industry, and we have the resources to come into technology and science. Just imagine what we could build. And you see, like the brother went into with the mother plane, and you see black man by nature, you know, we're builders, you know. So the first step is just coming into that knowledge of self, and the black man will walk into his rightful place, which is being a builder in science and technology.
Yes.
So yes, sir.
Man, beautiful point, dear brother. And one thing that came to my mind, when we're talking about tangibles that we can give people a heading on when it comes to being self-sufficient in our communities, have we ever thought about, once we establish land, about learning the ways on how to build a proper dam so that we don't have to worry about the energy that flows through our communities? Because if we're still tied to the energy of this world, then they can cut off that energy at any time, you know? So it is for us to use nature as he's so beautifully put in front of us, to be able to use nature to benefit every bit of our lives. I think that's something like building a dam to where we could be self-sufficient for the rest of our lives, depending on how well we build that dam, will be so beneficial. And is there any other ideas like this one that you all have that we can present to our community as a heading on how to sustain a community?
I mean, there's so many things that Brother Mark will definitely go into. Go ahead, Brother Mark.
You know, you say that, though. I was going to just say that damn idea was a real good one.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. As we know, man, dams have been used, man, for a very long time. And the fact that we could use water to power our whole city, that is something so magnificent that we ought to go to the very small microbial detail about, so that we can see how to maximize something like that. Because we wouldn't need much materials. You just need something to be able to turn in that water to produce some energy. And so as we figure that out, we know as a people, we trying to get our people turning so that we can sustain the energy, the life force to be able to come out of ourselves in this world to build something independent for ourselves. And as we come to a closing, brothers, do y'all got any final thoughts on your mind?
Man, I don't have any final thoughts, but I just do want to extend my appreciation and my gratitude to you, Brother Anthony, for extending the invitation to myself personally. You know, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to give whatever knowledge that I have, that I don't have any knowledge of myself, but from the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, I have something of value to say because it's not for myself. But I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank you for allowing me to be on this with these beautiful brothers, Brother Aidan and Brother Mark. I mean, it's an honor and a privilege. These are beautiful brothers that have a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom. And it's an honor, you know what I'm saying, to be able to aid in any capacity to help establish the kingdom of God. I mean, that's what we all should be striving to do. Yes. So like it says, where two or more are gathered, there I am in the midst of them. And it's four of us here. So what does that tell you?
Come on.
So it's a blessing. It's a privilege, and I don't take it for granted. And I pray that we can take this talk and we can take this spirit that we all have to actually do something for ourselves and do something for our nation and do something for our people. That will, inshallah, help produce the kingdom of God, because, again, Satan's word is going down, and we cannot replace him with the knowledge that we have now, because what are we going to do? You know what I'm saying? So we have to continue to learn, we have to continue to study, and we have to continue to prepare ourselves for positions that are awaiting us. And like the minister said, these little titles that we have now, they're nothing. He said, because we're going to be placed over territories. So we have to equip ourselves with the knowledge to be able to function at that level. But we have to first be competent on the level that we function on currently.
That's right.
But again, I'm not going to go into preaching and nothing like that, but praise be to Allah. Thank you again, brother.
Praise be to Allah. I want to thank all of you brothers for making yourselves available and for working in the way of Allah to establish a better future for our community. I've always had the heart and passion to do something like this. And I'm really grateful that this 7th Region Coalition is giving me the opportunity to come before our people and construct conversations like this with such bright minds so that we can teach the next generation and also put our hands and our resources together to build an environment into where they can be successful. And I thank each and every one of you brothers, Brother Aidan, you know, keep pushing on that social media, keep pushing those video clips representing the minister through your platform. Brother Mark is a very well talented motivational speaker and gives context and clues to what it means to be successful in all aspects of life. And Brother Jair, sitting behind the rostrum of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at times and giving that word of God to our people. This is almost a perfect collection of thoughts and backgrounds and experiences to be able to tell our people what we've been through, what the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad has done for our lives, but now people can see what it's doing to our minds and where our minds are headed and the goals that we seek for our people. So I want to thank you all for coming on this platform and helping me to present this to our people. And, you know, so we will conclude here. I want to thank everybody who joined in. We have a very beautiful amount of comments so far and engagement. So I thank every single person who stuck through this with us and showed their love and support today. And so I'm just going to bring it to a close. My name is Brother Anthony Muhammad. This is the Next Generation Platform, and I hope to see you all on another broadcast here very soon. Peace and blessings, family.